Good evening, YouTube. You guys are now watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. Today, we're going to be doing something special, a new series called Yu-Gi-Oh! Logic. Yu-Gi-Oh! Logic is when I break down why these cards are played, what caused the increase of popularity in this card, and anything in between. Today, we're going to be talking about three specific cards, CardCarD, Upstart Goblin, and Reckless Greed. Congratulations to Patrick Holman for winning ARG, wherever the fuck it was, with Upstart Goblin and Reckless Greed into his mermail deck. He runs it in every fucking thing, so it's not much of a surprise. Let's get into the logic of this card, because a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players have started playing it, but don't know exactly why it is being played or how to play it correctly. We're going to start off with Upstart Goblin. Upstart Goblin is a pretty good spell card at the cost of giving your opponent 1,000 life points. Notice I said cost of giving. You get to draw a card. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys are looking at it like, how the fuck would I want to give my opponent 1,000 life points? And I'm thinking, I wouldn't want to give him 1,000 life points either. But you have to think about the theory behind Upstart Goblin. It isn't a +1 in whatsoever, but it's a pseudo +1. Because when you run 3 Upstart Goblins in your deck is automatically cut down by 3 cards. Hopefully you're playing a 40 card deck, because if you're playing anything over 40, it defeats the purpose of running Upstart Goblin in the first place. Because you're cutting your deck down because you want your deck to be slimmer, but if you're running over 40 cards, it defeats the purpose of having it. Just take out the damn Upstart Goblins. Make sense? Yeah. 42 card deck, Upstart Goblin deck, means you're running 39 cards when you can just cut out the two Upstart Goblins and be running the 30. Sure. The logic behind it is that if you cut down your deck by 30 or by 3 cards, you increase the odds of you drawing those one-ofs or those key cards in the game. And it's true. Now, I'm not a mathematician. I graduated high school for a reason, to not do math. So I'm going to let you guys do all of the statistics. If you guys feel like you want to post it under the video, feel free. But as for video purposes and for my sanity, I'm not going to post all the mathematics behind it. If you run 3 cards less than 30, if you run 3 cards in your 40 card deck that allow you to draw 1 card, and that's it, then you're running 37 cards as opposed to 40. The odds of you drawing the 37, one card in the 37 card deck is significantly higher. Notice I said significantly. It's huge. Not a lot of people don't know that this is huge. Cutting your deck down to 3 is huge compared to having a 40 card deck. Trust me, I know. And with that being said, it gives you more opportunities for your combos. Now, this isn't made for every deck in the world. Obviously, Chainburn loves this card, and it's made from them. But certain decks, it's just not going to flow well with. The logic behind mermails being able to use this card incredibly is because, first of all, they're a deck comprised of nothing but monsters. Almost no matter what you draw, it's going to be useful. Secondly, mermails have the potential to OTK or come up with some extremely good plays, provided that you draw your one-ofs, divas, dragoons, all the stuff that the Konami decided to hit. It even gives you a higher chance of drawing into your megalos. Unfortunately, it gives you a higher chance of drawing into lead, and if you do run Gen X controller, but that's the price you have to pay to have a deck like that. Now, he added Reckless Greed into the equation, the ability to draw all these cards and then have a high advantage of hand, being able to mitigate them with the mermail cost. It's just, it's smart. It's nothing else I can say to it except for smart. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is Reckless Greed. Reckless Greed is actually a -1. People don't like to see it as that. They like to see it as a +1. But in the logic realm, or whatever I want to call this series, it's going to be seen as a -1, and I'm going to explain how. Reckless Greed off the bat gives you a +1. You get to draw 2 cards for the price of 1 card. That's fine. But next turn, you cannot draw that. You cannot draw. So That's a -1. So now you're breaking even. Then the next turn after that, you still cannot draw due to that card's effect. That's going to put you in the hole unless you fulfill these stipulations. You have Yugioh in hand. It's your 20th turn. You are allowed to... You OTK your opponent. Your opponent gets bored of you playing Reckless Greed and you scoop. And they scoop. So that's the only way Reckless Greed will be able to retain its value. There is a huge plus side that it cannot be calculated into the plus minus category of Reckless Greed. The first thing is that you get your 2 cards sooner. And the reason why this can't be calculated is because nobody knows what those 2 cards are. There's never a definition that those 2 cards will dictate the game or win you the game or get you those pieces. I'm not saying that they won't, but there is a probability that they will do nothing for you, which means not even the +1 was worth it. Another thing is if you use Reckless Greed in multiples. It's just amazing. It is the way Reckless Greed is meant to be played. The only way to play Reckless Greed is to use it in multiples. And a lot of players think that they can just use it separately. Wow. If you're going for a hard push or an OTK, or you need some cards and you're in a desperate mood, Reckless Greed is fine for you. But if you're just beginning game and I'm just going to set and activate that Reckless Greed, not so smart. Mainly because of the above stated thing before, you do neg in the process. Now, let's pair Reckless Greed up in multiples. For the cost of losing 3 cards, you get to draw 6 cards. Now, we have to take in the neg minus factor, so you +3. Okay? Next turn, you can't draw, so you +2. Then the next turn, you can't draw, so you +1. That's amazing. That's still amazing. You get the +1, even though you weren't able to draw for the next 2 turns. Then you factor in that you got to draw 6 turns ahead of your opponent. That typically means that you're going to win, that you're going to break off some catastrophic combo. Now, how does this work so well with Upstart Goblin? Well, you need to draw them in multiples. Upstart Goblin gives you the opportunity to draw them in multiples. Like I said before, the probability of you drawing a card in a 37 card deck is higher than in a 40 card deck. Logic, I know, it just hits you guys. So while running a 37 card deck, I can easily access the Reckless Greed just a little easier than running a 40 card deck. It's logic. And then you start off with an opening hand of 6. So technically, you're running a 31 card deck as opposed to a 34 card deck. I like those odds. Another thing about Reckless Greed that I really could never get over is that it's a trap card. Now, granted, Konami did a good job of making Reckless Greed. They made it a trap card. But if your opponent just happens to typhoon it on your end phase where you can't use it, or just stop the Reckless Greed, it's something that can't be replaced. And well, let's say you do get over your opponent's Yugioh that destroyed the Reckless Greed. It might be too late to take advantage of Reckless Greed. It might be in your battle phase when you got rid of the card, or it might be standby phase and you're already down by such and such life points, and all the card in your deck that you needed to draw before you can't get. But that's a risk that you have to take with traps, period. My personal opinion, I feel that the trap card that I'm playing should be a trap card. It should be able to hinder my opponent. Reckless Greed is an amazing card other than that, especially when paired up with Upstart Goblins. My opinion, if you're running Reckless Greed, you have to run Upstart Goblins because it applies to the same logic. You take 6 cards out of your deck on top of those 3 cards. That's a 31 card deck. But we're going to get to the last card in this logic, CardCarD. Now, CardCarD, if you ask me, is one of the biggest negs of all time. Why? There's a couple of reasons. CardCarD has to be normal summon. So you have to give up your normal summon. You have to give up your battle phase, which if people did not notice, 90% of the times you win a game, it's in your battle phase. I mean, like, the battle phase is the way you subtract your opponent's life points. I mean, unless you're playing Burn or Yugioh, which CardCarD does amazing in, then you're kind of like giving up your opportunity to win for that turn. And then the next thing, it completely becomes your end phase. So unless the 2 cards that you're drawing are hand traps, The cards that you just drew are completely useless until next turn. So CardCarD. With that being said, CardCarD can probably want to be the biggest neg out of the whole trio. There is a plus side to CardCarD. Obviously, being able to plus that one, and if and only if you can mitigate the cost of losing your normal summon, it is worth it. For example, CardCarD, Fire Fist +1, however you want to call it, Fire Fist. They can abuse Tensu to normal summon their Fire Fist monster. Do what they have to do, then summon CardCarD to +1. It's amazing. It's smart. It's brilliant because you get to ignore the fact that you lost your normal summon through CardCarD and still get off your effects. Then summon CardCarD, then pass. It's just too smart. It's amazing. The next thing about CardCarD is that in Elemental Heroes, it's probably one of the best. It fits the best in Elemental Heroes because yes, you do still minus your normal summon, but it's an Earth monster in Graveyard that allows you to set up a Miracle Fusion target. Those are just two examples of decks that can abuse CardCarD even after it leaves the field. Not every deck is designed to play CardCarD. I'm sorry. Mermails will have a harder time playing CardCarD than probably any other deck because their summon is needed. Same thing with Constellars. Their summon is needed to get into their plays. Now, I'm not saying don't play it. If you guys feel that CardCarD is the most amazing thing in sliced bread, be my guest. Go ahead and skip your opportunity to winning. And then the next thing is if you draw multiples of CardCarD, then yeah, you're kind of screwed for a couple of turns. But I'm going to give you a scenario. Let's say player A never draws 3 CardCarDs in one turn, okay? Which is, or never has 3 copies of CardCarD in his hand ever, okay? Not even 2, let's say that, okay? Which is impossible. And he runs triple Reckless, triple Upstart, triple CardCarD. You just cut your deck down by, well, CardCarD is 2, 4, 6, Reckless Greed is 8, 10, 12, and Upstart is 1, 2, 3. So 15 cards you just cut your deck down by. You're practically running a 25 card deck. People don't understand that 25 cards is a huge difference between 25 and 40 when you're running that much draw power. Not to mention the search power that your deck has, and all that other stuff that your deck can just do because it runs less monster or more draw power. I apologize, not less monsters. It's a smart idea. It's definitely not suited for every deck, but for some decks that can take advantage, it does extremely well in it. And the logic behind it is to get into your power cards, which is what this game is all about. So it's definitely smart. As far as me playing it, I think it's a personal choice. It's not necessarily 25 cards is exactly better than 40. It's do you want to sacrifice drawing bad hands at times with CardCarD, with Reckless Greed. I guess if you draw one of your Reckless Greeds and you don't draw your other two, it's bad. But do you want to sacrifice that for the ability to thin your deck down by, what, 25, around 30%? That's, it's hand in hand, guys. It's definitely hand in hand. But thank you guys for watching another segment of The Cali Effect. Please like, comment, subscribe. But most of all, enjoy.